every week, and I'll tell you, I had to pull pretty hard on this week to find anything that was going to work on this week, but every week there is some play that stands out that's a little bit better than the others, one that just hits you a little bit different, one that you like a little bit different. That's why I call this segment That Play Call That Hits Just a Little Bit Different.
This one hit different.
And today we're going to be looking at a play here that was probably best offensive play on the game. And again, there wasn't a lot on either side of the ball to look at in this game when looking at really great play calls. Defensively, you stayed in a lot of four-man fronts. Offensively, you were searching like you were in the darkness, just trying to find that light, that flashlight that you had under the bed. Isn't it under the bed? Why isn't it under the bed? Where's it? Is it in the cupboard? Why isn't it in the cupboard? Who took the flashlight? I can't see anything. That was pretty much your offense in this game. But this was a play where you're actually able to catch them off guard. And how you did it was 2nd and 6. You're down in this game by quite a bit. So the Packers are thinking 100% that this is going to be pass, too high shell, that stays too high shell post snap. A lot of guys dropping into coverage to the deep side of the field, to the wide side of the field here. And the Seahawks have the perfect game plan set up for this particular coverage they've set up, where there is no thought in what the Packers are doing here pre-snap to the Seahawks running the football. It's in many ways a play that almost shouldn't work, but it's working so well because you're catching them so off guard. And you're catching them with the numbers game. You're seeing the gap scheme brought back into play like we saw last week, where they were really utilizing that against the Cardinals fully and really making it work. Sundell, your new center there out in front, he's able to move and make that happen. But where it really starts from is you've got all these defenders, 4 defenders of the Packers to the left side, the far side of the field. And then you've got your 2 guys here to the short side of the field for the Seahawks. So when you pull the 2 extra guys in space back behind these 2 guys at the front, you're essentially getting 4 men out in space there for Charbonnet. And if the Packers don't get that extra guy to rally from this side of the field over, you've got your numbers game, you've got your alleyway there for Zach Charbonnet to run, and then he doesn't have to do a whole lot other than get there with some urgency. He sets up the blocks and then just sets it up enough with that backside guy to where he keeps the door open so when he wants to cut it to the outside, he can do so. But a very good play call here from Grubb. Going to the run game, you're down in this game, understand that, but you also have a lot of confidence when you go to this that you're anticipating. I'm very sure that what he saw from the Packers coverage was a lot of that soft coverage here throughout most of this game prior to this especially. And when I know they're going to be that in again, I go to this game plan. If we block it even halfway decently right, it's going to be a big gain. And notice here, when you watch this play and I pause it, watch how these are just really pin blocks. So your tight end right here, pin. Then we get JSN coming down here. He's going to pin. Then you get your 2 offensive linemen out to neutralize this guy here and to pull out around and then to neutralize the safety down here. So then you got your offensive linemen then on cornerbacks, defensive backs, but it's really pin blocks. Nobody here is having to drive anybody off the line of scrimmage. This is the beauty sometimes of the spread system when it's running right. The backside here, you've got these guys setting up like it's pass pro to make the defensive linemen think it's pass pro, so they're just out of the play by that manner. You don't need them to get any push up the field. The play's attacking way up here, so you don't care. So kind of a cool little play as well because it shows there's plays you can call in the NFL, especially these pin kind of blocks. Your tight end there's not blowing him off the line, right? He's even getting a little bit of penetration, but because he's going wide, he doesn't have to land the block for a long period of time. He's just got to sink it in there for just about a second or so to let Charbonnet get clear, and it's done. Same thing here with JSN coming down from the wide receiver position to the linebacker. Doesn't have to necessarily destroy the block. In a lot of ways, gets kind of blown up, but just does enough. It's a bang-bang kind of play. Do just enough, and the running back will be passed by the time that guy blows you up. This is a cool play because it shows, again, you don't have to just go find that talented guy that can just destroy the guy off the line of scrimmage. You can scheme things up for them. I think the part that does make this play a little bit difficult, though, is because you do hear McDonald, once again, as it seems like many times he has this year, lamenting the fact that the team didn't run the ball more. And you have this play go down where Charbonnet gets the touchdown, brings you within 10 points. You get the ball back into the fourth quarter with a lot of time on the clock, with 3 timeouts, and the ability to go back to this run game, knowing the Packers are a little bit susceptible in the run game, and yet Grubb didn't go back to it. I've had some defensive Grubb, and it's a little bit like the Geno situation in certain ways, where you go, look, I can defend you to a certain point on things, but on the part that I don't have any understanding of where you're at with it is your lack of commitment to the running game and leaving it so often and looking for reasons to leave it. You're down by 10 points, but you were running the ball well in this game. Charbonnet had a 5.8 yard per carry average. You can't go away from that even if you're down by 10, especially when you could stand to give your defense a little bit of time with some of the play clock to get a little bit of their rest and maybe make some adjustments to counter what the Packers are doing to them offensively. But strange of Grubb not to go to it more after he had this really nice run here by Charbonnet and plenty of time on the clock and plenty of timeouts. But if Grubb doesn't remain beyond this season, this is going to be the centerpiece reason as to why that's the case. The lack of commitment to the run game. The line is what it is, but you have a run blocking line right now more than you have really a pass protecting offensive line. It would seem at the very least with Lankin and with your new right guard here, Toa as well. That is what they do as the forefront of their games. And it would seem like maybe that's also the case a bit with Sundell as well. And so you've got to kind of lean into that. Lucas can run block really well, especially the pulling in space stuff. You got to lean into it, not lean away from it. Even if it's what you want to do, keep coming back to Grubb and it being, he's wanting to call the game the way he wants to call it to how his offense is just purely designed rather than the personnel he really does have. And that's a bit troublesome because in the NFL, you're not always going to have the perfect personnel to run your offense to the nth degree. You got to find a little bit of a balancing game here to get the most out of your team, the most out of your personnel, the most out of your talent.